Hi guys, my name is Desi Kadra and welcome to my podcast, Bridging the Round. Today, my guest is Paul Wolski. Paul will be talking to us about out-of-body experiences, which for him started when he was 16 years of age, having had his first spontaneous experience at this point. This led him to question reality, giving rise to the idea that there is more than this physical dimension. In his early adulthood, Paul also battled with alcohol and drug addiction, which eventually led him onto the spiritual path and as a way to break free of those addictions. Paul has also taken up studies in mental health, sociology, counselling, and has just completed a degree in philosophy and theology as a part of his recovery process and as a way to find out more about the world. So, Paul, welcome to Bridging the Round. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi Desi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay.
Great. So this is a topic that I have so many questions about because I've heard about it and I have to say I haven't experienced it myself. I've tried to experience it a number of times, but they've never been successful.
Yeah.
So tell me about your earliest experience, which you mentioned it was around 16 years of age. What happened?
Yeah. I mean, it was a very short and brief experience. Most of them have been, to be honest, but the first one, I was simply just led on my bed with my girlfriend. We were falling to sleep. I thought that I had fallen asleep, and I just found myself awake, hovering. I can't really explain. There was no kind of exit process. There was no kind of symptoms or sensations, which later on in life I've experienced lots of. But the first one, I just simply found myself just floating above the bed. I was hovering, and I could turn back to see half of my body, but more my girlfriend lying on the bed. And obviously, I know that I'd fallen asleep with her every night for quite some time, and I know that normally I'm next to her. I turn to the right and she's right there, but this time I was looking down on her, and it was very, very strange. Yeah, and everything in the room was like in the same place. So there was a bookcase next to me. There was a TV in the corner. That was all there as normal, but everything just seemed to be much lighter. I can't explain it. Everything had like a glow and like, for the want of a better word, a magnificence about it. It looked alive. I can't explain it. It was just different to what it normally is. It just seemed like I was experiencing some kind of heightened sense of visual sensation. And then in the room that I was in, we had I can't remember, like a skyline window. So it was like a slanted roof like that, and there was a square window before me, and I was just looking at it, and I just remember thinking to myself, can I go through that window? And the moment I thought that, I started to shoot at quite some fast pace towards the window, and I was overcome with like a lot of fear, and I got scared. Yeah, and that fear kind of just snapped me out of it, and I just found myself on my bed, just with my eyes open, kind of astonished, just like, oh my God, what was that? I mean, before that experience, I had heard of the out-of-body experience. So when I found myself in this state of consciousness, I quite straight away, I thought, this is an out-of-body experience. I'm outside of my body. Yeah,
You straight away, you mean? You knew?
straight away I knew, yeah. I wasn't, obviously I was mesmerized. I was like, what is this? What is going on? Because it feels like you're not in your body, and we're very used to being like, I suppose imprisoned in this meat van, this flesh and bone, right?
Kind of weighed down by everything.
Right, yeah. So, and I was just free. It was just a very, very nice feeling, and words can't explain it. I'm trying to give, I suppose, to use religious terms, I'm trying to give a, 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 a sort of humble human explanation of something divine and beyond. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So you knew straight away this was an out-of-body experience. So had you researched it before? Did you know anything about it
I've never researched it. I've just overheard. I had at the time, well, still now, I have an older brother, and and I lived with him, and I overheard one of his friends talking to my dad about it, and I just remember thinking, oh, I'd love to try that. Yeah, he was using the term astral projection, which is
Yeah.
kind of same thing, you know. What some people call it, and he was talking about being able to leave your body, be on the other side of the room, look back at your body, and then go off and explore stuff. And I was probably about maybe 15 when I heard that, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds exciting."
Yeah, I want to try that.
Yeah, so maybe that kind of curiosity, you
Mm.
know, that desire to have a go at that has brought about the experience. I don't know, but
Mm.
for whatever reason, it happened spontaneously.
Oh, okay. So what happened after that? Did you kind of go out and try to understand what happened, or try to have another one?
I didn't try to have another one, but it certainly got me thinking about all sorts. It kind of left me in a sort of state of perplexity, like, wow, it's real, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
So there was
and
no doubt in your mind that it wasn't, that you were just imagining it or you were dreaming about it.
no doubt, no doubt. I have friends that I've spoke to about this, and they say, "Oh, you're just dreaming. It's just a dream."
Mm.
But for me, you know, I've dreamt every night at this point for 16 years. I kind of know what a dream is.
Yeah.
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 And if I was to turn around to you right now and say you're dreaming right now, you'd probably know that you're not.
Mm.
Okay, there wouldn't really be any question in your mind, Desi, would there, if I said you're dreaming right now?
Mm.
Yeah. So when people say, "How do you know that it's not a dream?" I say, kind of in the same way you know that this present moment is not a dream.
Yeah.
Obviously, philosophically, that's questionable.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
for the
Some
most
people
part,
disagree. Yeah.
yeah. But for the most part, we tend to sort of don't question that we are awake, and this is the exact same feeling when you're out of body. You are awake, you are aware, you are in control of your faculties, you are able to interpret things, you are able to make decisions, you're able to question things. For
Mm.
me, I don't have that, you know, that level of mental control when I'm in a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
True. Mm. Yeah.
So
Because
that's how I know. Yeah.
so was there, could you feel, because you know, like we can kind of more or less feel our hands, our face. Could you, like when you were looking at things, could you feel that you were looking with your eyes, with your physical eyes, or was it kind of like more?
Well, it was the same. I was obviously, this is one of the questions that I was left with. I was
Mm.
like, well, what is going on? I could see,
Yeah.
but my eyes were over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know people can throw the voices. Maybe some people can throw their eyes. I don't know. And if I can, I don't know how to do it. But that is one. That is that, and that for me was just more sort of confirmation to some kind of like
Mm.
spirit. There must be some kind of spirit inside me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
something else other than my brain, my body. So naturally, that's kind of led me to think, wow, well, maybe some of these religions are true. You know, maybe I do have a soul, and maybe it does go places when I die. Maybe there is no death because of this soul, and maybe it matters what I do in life. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So it kind of it just put me on a path of wanting to know things that I've never really given much attention to.
Hmm. Yeah. So what did you, where did that take you after that? Did you go into like religion or try to find out anything?
Not really. Now, luckily, my dad had a couple of experiences himself, similar. So I was able to like talk to him about it. And my dad at the time was really exploring religion, but for some reason I wasn't interested at that point. For me, it was, I suppose I'd sort of been, um, I don't want to say brainwashed, but influenced by society that religion's for fools. You know, there is no God.
Yeah.
It's all rubbish. It's to control the masses, and it's for weak people who don't understand reality, and they're just gripping onto something to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And I kind of, you know, I hope you don't hear this, but I kind of view my dad as similar. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, what are you doing with that religion stuff? and it just wasn't for me. And I didn't explore religion. I didn't pursue that. My kind of, I suppose the religious people I'd encountered up until that point were all like, the answers you're looking for are in these books, they're in the traditions, they're in these set of beliefs. But for me, I was kind of like, I just arrived at this knowledge that I'd learn more and I would find my answers by closing my eyes and trying to connect to something that I've now experienced, something bigger and beyond me. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So what happened after that? Where did that take you?
Right. So what happened after that? So I started to have more out of body experiences, but they were kind of scary. They weren't pleasant. Okay.
Okay.
So the next time that it happened, it started with this sound, this noise, and it's so hard to explain. So it sounded like it was coming from millions and millions of miles away. So I'd just be falling asleep, and just in that, they call it the hypnagogic state, don't they, or the hypnagogic state. So I was in this point. I'm no longer in deep sleep, or sorry, I'm no longer awake, and I'm neither in sleep either. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm just
in between state. Yeah.
In between state. And as I'm in this state, it's so weird. It's almost like I'm not aware of my surroundings. I'm not aware of the environment, but I'm at the same time aware that there's something within me that's awake.
Yeah.
And in this state, I hear this noise, and it just sounds like a frequency, a humming, a tone. Yeah.
Is it like high pitched, like buzzing or something?
I've experienced different pitches. So I've experienced it high tone. I've experienced it quite low, and and I've experienced it kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
But it just starts just like it's. I can barely hear it, but I'm aware that it's there. And then when I sort of give attention to it, it comes in louder, and it gets louder, and it gets louder. So this tone, this sound, it's almost like I don't know if there are any people watching that are aware of music equipment, but the feedback loop that you would get if you got too close to a speaker with a microphone.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So it's kind of like that, but then all of a sudden it would like shoot into my ears and just get louder and louder and louder, to the point that it was like deafening, frighteningly deafening, and really uncomfortable, and obviously it wakes you up, and you're like, what is that? And other times there's been like a sound of rumbling, if not thunder, and sounds that I can't really define with words. And also like another sound that comes that I try and explain to people is like, when you're tuning in a radio station and you between the stations is kind of like right. I know, yeah. And it's but on top of these tones, on top of this thundering kind of sound, and it's just like and as a 16, 17-year-old kid, it was a bit like, what the F is going on. But at the same time, I slip into sleep paralysis. So this is happening, and I'm now completely awake. I'm now completely aware that I am a being. I'm just awake, and then I start to get visual perception starts coming back, right? And I'm looking around the room, and I think I need to get out of this, and I try and get up, but I can't. I'm glued. I'm completely paralyzed.
Wow.
And I'm in this state with this noise going on, and I'm just in this kind of this horrible fear, right? And then it's like this surge of energy, electricity maybe, just starts shooting into me, and it's like, and then I'm shaking like that, and this is all happening very quick. So if I'm dozing off like that, it's kind of like a and then this paralysis. I know I can laugh at it now, but at the time it was traumatizing.
No, I can imagine.
It was like, what is going on? And now I've learned later in life, as I've researched this stuff, I've learned that this is a great place to reach. and there are like Buddhist monks that try for decades to reach this place. This is kind of like what they call the vibrational state, and this is the launch pad to one of these experiences. But at the time, I wasn't aware of this, so I'm just like,
You're like, what the hell?
yeah, your everyday 17-year-old kid that hasn't done very well at school, thinking, well, where am I going with my life? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, it's like, what is happening? And then so there's this sense of impending doom going on, like the aliens have come for me. I don't know. There's all sorts of crazy thoughts going on in your head, in my head, and then all of a sudden it was like this hand just kind of reached into me, grabbed me, and just pulled me. Yeah, and I say me, not my physical body.
Yeah.
Just pulled something out of me. And then I felt this movement, I felt this motion, I felt like I was traveling from one location to another, and I just started to go. Now, as I started to leave the body, these sensations, all of a sudden the paralysis went, all of a sudden the sounds just sort of disappeared, and a calmness came over me, and like this tranquility came over me, and I just started to go. But again, fear kicked in. It's like,
Yeah, because it's on you.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be similar to being kidnapped. Yeah, you're being removed out of your comfort zone, against your will. And it really kind of messed me up, because then I kind of like went back to speak to my dad about it, who again had these experiences, but he'd never had these kind of these symptoms, this I don't really know how to the transition.
Yeah, the moving out of the body, kind of
moving out of the body. Yeah, I mean, I think he'd had some sensation moving out of the body, but I can't remember him saying that he'd had this like terror, this fear, this like vibration, this shaking, and it is literally like someone is shaking your bed.
Wow. Yeah,
so
that's pretty scary.
Yeah. So I've kind of come out of this experience, like, and when I've come out of the body, even though this kind of tranquil calmness has come about, I've still got this ability to process this stuff and question. So I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? Oh no, I don't like this. Even though I wasn't in this terror and this vibrational chaos, I've still somehow managed to like fight my way back and think, no, I don't want to do it. Well, what's going on? So then I've sort of come out of this experience panicking, and all sorts of crazy questions have then arisen. What is that? What is going on? And it was almost like I said, I don't think I was doing it willfully.
Yeah.
So what is doing it? Who is doing it? Is there something pulling me out? And if it is, who is it? Who are they? What are they? And why me? What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what kind of happened next is that experience that I've just described began to happen every single night, and sometimes several times, if not bloody 10 times a night.
Wow.
So I'd come back out of this thing all like panicky and sort of really shaken up by the event. And then I think, oh, right, okay. And I just slowly fall back to sleep, and I'm just dozing off. And then again, the tone comes, and then it all starts again.
My
and it
God,
was like,
it's pretty scary to experience.
It really was borderline traumatizing. Yeah, because I started to naturally, I start questioning, I start asking people, I start speaking to friends. Here, have you ever had this this thing happen? Have you ever been pulled out of your body? Like what? Seriously, have you ever
Did you hesitate to like ask to tell anyone about this? Because I guess it does make you seem. I mean, it sounds crazy when you first tell someone, isn't it?
No, I mean, I was like, even though there was a lot of fear going on, there was this I'm intrigued. Right, whoa, what is this? Because obviously for the 17 years up to this point, I've developed an understanding of what reality is. You know,
Yeah.
I think I remember having this weird spiritual experience as a kid. I'll not go into it, but I think as a kid I was kind of open to other stuff. I don't know. I think kids are very perceptive and intuitive, aren't they? And they're not sort of they've not been shaped by society at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but,
no,
uh, but
you did mention that you saw, I think, a dead relative or something, isn't it, at one point before?
yeah, kind of. It certainly seemed that way. When I was about 10 years old, it was more of a loved one, a friend who lived with us for a very long time. For
Yeah.
want of a better word, not a blood relative. And I was very close to this person, and I was like really sad when the person died. Um, there was a really weird spiritual experience there when we were by this person's deathbed, and like his last few words, and this person had been suffering with cancer for a long time, looked in a lot of pain, was at the moment of death was vomiting blood, and was struggling, couldn't breathe, was suffering. And I remember I was sat with my mum, and the moment that this person died, he kind of like his awareness fixated onto the other side of the room, and like he'd seen someone, and his face just kind of lit up like that.
Wow.
And obviously he was on a bed, okay, and what's happened then is his head has just started to like go back like that until he's kind of looking right above himself.
Oh, wow.
He's led back, and he just said the words, "Oh, Father, you've come for me,"
Oh,
and then just kind of closed his eyes and went. And
wow.
me and my mum were a bit like, "What was that? What was that? Oh my God!"
Wow, that's powerful to
Yeah,
witness.
yeah. And then a few weeks later, um, I've woken up in the middle of the night. I'm like, in fact, I'm probably young. Looking back, I think I was about 7 actually.
Mm.
And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and there he was at the end of my bed with like a big like golden yellow aura around him,
Oh,
just
wow.
kind of like waving with his beautiful smile. Yeah, and I was like both happy but confused,
Yeah.
shocked. Yeah, yeah, stunned, and yeah, I seem to remember like getting a little bit scared and like just going under my covers, and
Yeah.
then yeah, that's right. He was waving like that, and then his hand sort of came out, and I kind of like closed my eyes, and it felt like I felt somebody like just tap my leg, you know, and then
Yeah.
I looked again, and it was gone. That kind of experience stuck with me for a long time. Now, listen, I was a 7-year-old kid. I might have been dreaming that.
Mm.
I might have had and still have some kind of like schizophrenia where I'm seeing things that aren't there, hallucinations. You know, I don't write any of this stuff out. I've got to remain open-minded.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
me, it's a very real, profound experience. And I remember,
Mm.
like, I remember going to my mum saying, "Oh, I've just seen Peter. He's not dead. He's still alive. He's not really dead, you know." And she kind of going, "Oh, shut up! Don't be stupid. That stuff's not real. You know, he's dead." I'm like, no, you don't understand. No, listen, we'll say no more of it. He's dead. You know.
Yeah, the typical response that we get. Yeah.
Yeah, and then somewhere between that experience and my first out of body experience, I suppose I switched off from that kind of reality. I started to like get interested in the physical world.
Yeah.
You know, I started to get addicted to Jaffa cakes and ice cream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Trying to
was
fit
off.
in with all the rest.
Of course, I had loads of toys, and then yeah, I went on my little path, and then as a teenager, I found cigarettes, alcohol, and girls, and then that was it. The spiritual path was well out the window,
Was
and
long gone. Yeah.
long gone, long gone.
Mm.
Yeah,
But it always comes back around somehow, isn't it? And I guess
well,
that's
yeah.
what you found with.
Yeah, there's no escaping it. I think. I mean, I'm a real believer in the afterlife,
Mm.
and for the want of a better word, God. I mean, I don't subscribe to any religion. I just kind of use that word. I know there's loads of funky words. This universal consciousness,
Mm.
cosmos, the universe. You know, I'm a big fan of a guy called Tom Campbell, who's a bit of an adept in these experiences, and he has this term, the larger consciousness system, which I kind of like, and
Yeah.
then I buy into that. But yeah, God, some higher, bigger intelligence that knows what's going on,
Mm.
and it's slowly introducing itself to us. And I believe that through our own behaviours and conduct, we can get closer to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as a teenager, obviously, it was just, there was this world, and you just you get the most out of it while you're here, because you're going to die one day and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely, yeah. So did that, so what happened after that? Because I think you kind of, at one point you mentioned to me before that it made you feel quite invincible, didn't it? In a way.
That came a little bit later,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
What I think, yeah, we'll get to that. That's what I call the Messiah complex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll build up to that bit. So I started to have these experiences, right? And sometimes I would, obviously, all the while questioning it. You know, is it really happening? Actually, you know, is it? Am I just crazy? Yeah. So I'd started at this point. Well, for a few years I've been writing to music. I was loving playing guitar. I was loving researching, studying the history of music and all that. And I started to experiment with drugs, you know. And I was taking like LSD, and then I started. Now I did have my first LSD trip before my first out of body experience. So then I started like trying to link the two, thinking, oh, it's just some mad side effect. You know, this is what happens when you take drugs. This is why they say don't take drugs, because it'll mess the mind up.
Yeah.
And my mind's getting messed up. I think I can fly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I need to stop taking drugs and messing around. But then these what I just explained about the sort of terrorized, the horrible night, the fear, the fearful experiences. Now that they started to happen every night, all the time, and it was horrible. And I believe that I started to like use more drugs and alcohol to try and basically knock myself out. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So I didn't have to experience this stuff. Okay. It started to get a little bit scary. And by this point, I was questioning, I was asking loads of people. And luckily, I had one or two mates that had experienced similar things. So I didn't feel as crazy. And this kind of like opened my mind, like, no, actually, it is real. Maybe it's not anything to do with drugs.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe that drugs can bring these experiences on. And if anyone's watching this who are pondering on giving that stuff a go, that's your choice. Personally, I'd go with meditation.
Yeah, I stick with that.
Yeah, I would do, but I'm not here to preach. You know, if you're going to go and do it, do it. My advice is do it once, enjoy it, and go and, you know, go and study quantum physics or something.
Yeah, that's a good story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in this state where I'm really confused. I've no idea what's going on. It's a little bit scary, because then I start like I suppose applying or projecting my understanding of religion onto these experiences, because I went to school, you learn a little bit about religion. So I've got it in my head that like, oh my God, maybe there's some kind of like demonic force like possessing me, trying to get in my body, you know, and all this weird stuff. So my head's going a bit west at this point. I'm going a bit crazy. So I'm thinking, right, smoke loads of weed, drink loads of booze, you know, take some Valium and fucking knock myself out, and I'll be all right. Yeah.
It's scary, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, at this point, I can imagine if you have no other explanation and no one to kind of teach you what it is, it's pretty, you just do what you have to do, isn't it, to cut it out, I guess.
Yeah. Because so I was in the middle. Part of me was curious and I wanted to find out what it was, what's going on, you know. But then other parts of me was like, I don't like this. I don't know what's going on, and it's like stepping into the unknown. And I'm just thinking it's too much for me to get my head around. And like I say, I'm playing guitar and I'm, you know, I'm thinking just focus on that stuff, you know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But then I had this experience where, so I had a different experience. I remember one night I've literally just been falling asleep, and there was no kind of crazy symptoms. There was no warning that it was about to come on. It was literally something just grabbed me and just said, "You're coming with us," bang, and I literally shot in the air at light speed.
Wow.
And I was just traveling at light speed, up and up and up and up, non-stop. And it was like, oh wow, it was phenomenal. And and this is quite weird because obviously I don't have a physical body at this point, but it's like I can feel wind in my face. I can feel motion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just going like, yeah,
It's like the best ride of
And
my life.
it really was, yeah, exactly. Like a roller coaster, but literally light speed. And I'm not exaggerating here.
Mm.
Like a movement, a pace I've never experienced before, and well, clearly, and that again was hard to get my head around. Yeah.
So what happened? Did you see anything else that time? Did you
No, it was just that was an experience that wasn't. There was no visuals involved, and
Mm.
again, the further I got away from my body, or the further it felt like I got away from my body,
Yeah.
a bit of apprehension kicked in, and then in the moment, you're not really thinking of that stuff. You just absorbing the sensations,
Yeah.
and then also it's like, hang on a minute, I'm traveling at light speed. And my house must be quite far away right now, so then this fear kicks in, what's going on? So like snap out of it, and then you're on your bed like that. Oh my God, I've just traveled at light speed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as soon as that fear kicks in, it seems like it just snaps you back into your body there. Like that's it, you just cut out of the whole experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe a certain level of fear, because there's all sorts of weird thoughts going on at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's a fine. Well, I don't know about a fine line, but there's a distinction between apprehension.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a better word for it. I keep saying
Yeah.
curiosity and fear. Do you know what I mean? Well, okay, hang on, stop. I don't like, there'll be this kind of like, what is this? Oh my God. And then all of a sudden, like, whoa, what is this? Come back, no, stop. And a lot of the craziest thing about this was, or that one of the hardest things to deal with was getting no response, chatting to people about it. And nobody, they're just getting this kind of response of like, oh, mate, listen, I think you need to see someone. I think you need to stop smoking that stuff. Listen, are you all right? What's really going on for you? No, listen, I can fly.
How did that make you feel? Did you doubt yourself at that point when people were responding in that way?
Well, yeah, both, yeah, because people were saying you're crazy. So obviously, I go away, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, they might be right. They might be right.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then what happened? So there was other little experiences. I'd pop my head through the wall. Then I'd be like, oh my God, and I'd come back out and pop my head. I'm like, well, what's going on here? That wall I should like hit that wall and stop.
Yeah.
This is
So you're
weird.
kind of like experimenting with what you can do out of body.
Yeah, slowly having a go. And another strange thing was I could always hear. So I remember one night it happening, and I could hear the people next door, so having a few drinks, my brother and some of his mates. There was music on, so I was kind of aware of both states. And then I remember thinking, this is when I started to realise that the environment, the non-physical environment, or the other realm, it was kind of thought responsive. So I've come out of body, and I'm having this was like a bit of a peaceful one. There wasn't much crazy stuff, and I'm just having a bit of a float. And then I've kind of awareness has come to me, right? So I've got visual perception, right? And I can see the wall in front of me.
Yeah.
I can see the stereo in the corner, the door in the corner. And I'm like, oh, I'm out of my body. Oh, right. And then I look to the right, and I think, and I just thought, I wonder if I can get to the top of the cupboard. And as soon as I thought that, I'm moving towards it. And then a little bit of fear kicked in. I'm actually on the cupboard now, looking around. You see your body, and you're like, what? Bed and everything. And it's like, oh man. And then I kind of like, I can't get my head around this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So as soon as you think something, it's like you're there. Boom. There's no like space. There's no time or space between you moving to that place. You're just there.
No. I have had that. I have had like what you might think teleporting.
Yeah.
So I could think of like the bathroom upstairs, and bang, I'm there.
Yeah.
Okay. But on other occasions there is time and there's a distance. I'm floating above my body. I think about the cupboard, and there's, you know, time elapses where I travel.
So you're floating to the cupboard. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But still in this kind of like sense of confusion, perplexity, questioning my sanity. You know what I mean? Oh God, if I am insane, I don't want to be over here. I want to be in my body where I'm like sane. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's all this weird stuff going on, all this confusion. And then I remember thinking, well, yeah, the experiences are real. It's definitely happening.
That's what
but
you said to yourself.
yeah, this is what I'm saying to myself. Yeah, to sort of combat the I'm crazy or whatever, or I'm possessed. Is like, well, you know, or I'm being abducted by aliens. Yeah. Then I started to think, well, yeah, okay, there is an afterlife, there is a soul, and I leave my body when I die, so I must be dying. Maybe I've got cancer, maybe I've got some kind of illness, maybe the end is nigh, and I'm trying to like say, right, come on, it's time to go now. Oh, no, it's not my time. It's not my time. Normally, these experiences, you hear these reports of people going out and these spiritual beings saying, it's not your time. But for me, it's like, I'm running the show at this point. It's not my time. Go away. You know?
You were the boss.
I'm the boss, right. Yeah. So here I am. I'm this young kid, and I am, you know, let's not forget that I am experimenting with narcotics by this point. I've tried a few other drugs, you know, I've been smoking opium, I've been sniffing cocaine, I've been experimenting with ecstasy, LSD. So I'm like, well, yeah, I've still got this thing, this must be drugs. You know what I mean? This must be some sort. So, but then you've got that crazy place where, right, I won't take the drugs, but it happens more. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. In a weird kind of way, the drugs sort of lessen the amount of times. Now, I have had experiences when I've gone out and I've gone to bed really, really drunk. Yeah, high. And I've had experiences where I've come out of my body or been pulled and I'm like being bounced around the room like a pinball in a pinball machine. And I'm trying to see things and it's all hazy and blurry. And
with drugs. Is that when you've taken drugs?
Yeah, it's almost like when I'm drunk in the physical realm, I go out there drunk. My consciousness is hazy. Do you know what I mean? There's not much clarity. But when I'm having a little period of time away from all that stuff and have an out-body experience, it's more of a clearer experience. It's more coherent. I'm more coherent. I can comprehend it all better. I can see things better. Yeah, but I'm still in a place at this point. What is going on? And then one day, I had this experience where I have found myself. It was weird how this happened. So I've shut out of my body, but I've found myself looking down at my house. I'm looking in another room. I can somehow see through the wall, even though I'm the roof of the house.
Yeah.
And I can see some people in this room. Now I know for a fact that they weren't there when I got home. I got home alone. I remember thinking, this is strange. There's nobody in but me. How can they be there? Yeah. And again, a little bit of apprehension has brought me back to my body. And I thought, that's weird. So if I go into that room and they are there, then I know that they are there before I know they are there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you've seen them in your body, in your non-physical body. Yeah.
Non-physical body, third eye, for the want of a better word. So I've like woke up and thought, right, if they are there, I knew they were there before I've seen them being there.
Yeah. So that's proof that you really did see them, basically.
For me, that has verified it. So I've gone into the next room and they were there. And I'm like, oh my God. So I've literally walked in and walked out.
Just checking.
Yeah. And I've just got in my bed and I'm just like, oh my God, this shit is real. Sorry, excuse the language.
No.
But you know what I mean? That was like, I'm not insane. I'm not dying. I'm not crazy. I am having out of body experiences. It's on. You know,
it's
it's definitely for real. And then it's like kind of weird then walking around the streets looking at other people. Do these people know? You know, what is this world? Who's in the know? You know, like,
didn't know this big secret.
Yeah. And but then it was a bit like I'd been rejected and ridiculed that often that I'd lost faith in talking about it, you know. I
Yeah.
argued with girlfriends like, leave, I can't handle this guy, he's too much. You know what I mean? And you're just kind of feeling very lost in the world. You
No, yeah,
know,
it's
what's my place in it?
no, it's a really, and it's, yeah, and it's really sad that, you know, you can't actually connect with anyone on that level and can speak to anyone about it. Because yeah,
Yeah,
at this point, people are just thinking this is crazy, like like you're mental kind of thing, isn't it?
exactly. But the other thing, like what you touched on at the beginning, and the little biography you read about me, what I didn't realise was happening at this time was addiction was starting to get its hold on me.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So really, I suppose I was at a crossroads where I could pursue this spiritual path, explore it, you know. But by this time, like my musical sort of exploits have taken me into being in a band. I'm writing music with my pals, and we're starting to get some recognition. We're starting to get semi-successful. We're starting to get a big fan base. We're starting to be, you know, lads about the town. We're
yeah.
starting to be well known. I'm starting to get loads of female attention. You know,
Mhm.
there's like loads of like free drugs being put out on the table. So I'm getting sucked into this party lifestyle.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting sucked into these like physical carnal desires. Yeah.
yeah,
And I'm getting taken away by that. But then every now and then there'd be this out of body experience. And I kind of always knew that I should be focusing on that and not this,
mm,
you know, chasing success,
yeah,
chasing fame, because that's what we were out there trying to get the record deal. We'd spend hours in a studio writing music, going out gigging everywhere, and we
mm,
were chasing recognition and fame and fortune.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
It's a sort of material lifestyle, isn't it? That.
but yeah, I think if the Buddha was here now, or Jesus Christ, he'd say, look, you know, you're not going to have these spiritually enlightened experiences while you're getting smashed every night and do you know what I mean? You're staying up for days on end, like getting drunk and taking drugs, you know?
Yeah,
All that stuff behind. Stop chasing success, stop chasing money, and come here, you know, as it says in some scriptures, be still and know that I am God, you know, and just basically close your eyes and meditate, and there's a better life, you know?
yeah,
There's a,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I didn't want to know that. I was like, no, rock and roll. Come on. Yeah,
I want to be the cool kid. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So what happened next? When was the kind of turning point for you? Oh, well, tell me a little bit more about the experiences, because I think you mentioned you had a few really good experiences, didn't you?
Right.
What
Yeah.
happened? Like, at which point did that happen?
Right. So the next, it was kind of like that for a while. I've had the epiphany. I've had the verification. Right, this stuff's real. Blah blah blah. And I've kind of gone about my life for a bit. It's been quiet for a few years. You know, I've never really practiced it. I've never thought, can I do this? Yeah, I've never really thought, can I bring it on? For me, it was just something that was happening to me.
It was just occurring, like, yeah, spontaneous.
Yeah, yeah. The question did arise. I wonder if I can actually do it. Can I control it? Because
Mm,
that was another thing I found when I was out of my body. It was very hard to control. It was very hard to, you know what I mean? I suppose it's like when a baby's trying to learn how to walk. You know, they get a few steps and they fall on the face,
yeah.
and it's very similar when you're out of body trying to navigate it.
Mm.
And
Because everything happens through thought, isn't it? Like you said before, like you mentioned, everything is thought based rather than sort of physical action based.
yeah, yeah, and I sit here now today after, like, you know, a few decades popping in and out of the body, and I sometimes wonder if there is such a thing as a spontaneous, involuntary out of body experience. I'm wondering, has my curiosity as a child, or when I first heard about the out of body experience, have I somehow planted deep inside me in my subconscious mind some kind of like desire and intention to learn about life, to experience more, and to open myself up to this. So the jury's out for me on that one. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I have no idea. But
You
so
find
yeah. So sorry.
You'll find out eventually, I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely. Surrender to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a few years later, what's happened is the rock and roll lifestyle's got a little crazy, a little too much. I thought, right, I need to go back to my mum's, move in, and just basically detox myself and just get away from the madness for a bit. Yeah. So I've gone back to my mum's to kind of like dry out and say, right, I need some time away from all that. What I need to do is stop drinking so much, stop taking so many drugs, and focus on evolving my guitar skills and write some new music. Yeah, because my money's run out. I've annoyed that girlfriend. She's left me for my mate, and life's gone a bit wobbly. So I need to sort myself out. And I was doing, and it was all right. Life was cool, and I was feeling okay in myself. And I've gone for an afternoon nap, and then I have had an out-of-body experience, and this is the most profound out-of-body experience I have ever had in my life. I just dozed off on the bed, and I felt myself rise up. I just felt myself lift out. Now, there was no violent...
No one pulling you out of your body or anything like that?
No pull, no noise, no paralysis, no vibrations, no bed shaking. Yeah, I just found myself floating up and up and up. But it was at a nice sort of mellow pace. Yeah, peaceful, calm pace. And I was just going up, and it just felt so nice. Like it was like something was on my face, like wind blowing. And it honestly, I had some wonderful experiences in life, some wonderful experiences with like narcotics and whatnot, wonderful experiences with friends and people, being on stage, performing your music to large audiences and getting loads of recognition, some really sort of stimulating experiences, but nothing in the world has ever come close to this feeling of utter freedom, liberation, peace, and this kind of connection to, I don't know, it's like you join this like cosmic consciousness, this ultimate, yeah, and I'm going up and up and up, and it just feels like, I suppose love is a good human word to actually to put to it, yeah. And I just felt so safe, so secure, so beautiful, so just like, oh man, it just nice, yeah. So I'm going up and up and up and up, and there's no visuals at this point. Okay, it's just all kind of like tactile, just this like wind blowing in me. But obviously, if I lifted you up, you would feel motion, you would feel your body going up, you'd know that you were going up.
Yeah.
And I'm like in this state of mind where there's like, I'm going somewhere, but I don't care. There was no fear whatsoever. I'm like, I don't want this to stop. This is
so
like,
totally different to any of the previous experiences you've had before. Yeah.
Totally different. And I think that the major difference was that there was no fear, and there was no, worry about how far away from my body I'd got, and I did not want it to stop. And I'm going up and up and up and up, and then after a while I thought, I wonder what it looks like out here. So I just said to myself, open your eyes, and I've opened my eyes, and as I've opened my eyes, I'm already looking at something, right?
Yeah.
Now this is really hard to explain. It's like a being, right? But when a diver dives off a diving board and the head kind of is touching the knees, yeah. So they kind of fold in half, yeah. So say that's your body, the head comes around to the knees,
okay, yeah.
like a diver would dive off a diving board. And they kind of like, they've got their arms out, literally like they have just dived off a diving board, and this being was like rotating like that. And I can't really explain it. It was like a wheel. And I was like looking at it going, what is that?
Like, it was a being, like it was a...
It was something else. It was an entity, right? Now at the time I can just see it's like weird, blurry, not blurry, this weird shape moving. Right, like, that is so weird. What is that? And I just remember just being locked into it, and I wasn't really bothered about what was going on. I wasn't bothered about how far away from my body was. I was just like mesmerised, like, what is that? Because I've come to realise that I can't see my bedroom, I can't see the street outside, I can't see my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm now in a different world. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had experiences where I can see the sky, where I've looked over the planet. Do you know what I mean? And whatnot, and I've seen space. Yeah, the stars in the sky. But this, I'm somewhere else completely. Right? And it was almost like it was just like I use the word oceanic a lot. It's almost like if I was deep in the ocean, and it was like a nice turquoisey green colour, and it was all wavy and flowy, and it was just like, I suppose, smoky and misty, but it was green. Do you know what I mean? I've never been in an environment where the whole surrounding is just green, yeah?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm floating up. And plus I noticed that there were these like weird tubes kind of everywhere, like with the like entities floating around inside these tubes, like they were going through portals into
Oh
other
wow. Okay.
dimensions, yeah. And I didn't feel like overwhelmed with this. This is why it was so different. And I'm just going like locked onto this thing. And I just got this sensation, this feeling or this thought. It's taking me somewhere. I'm following it. Wherever it's going, I'm following it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there was no fear this time. You were just kind of allowing yourself to be taken or following it, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going with the experience. I'd completely surrendered to it. I
Mm.
wasn't fighting. I wasn't thinking about my body. I wasn't worrying about whatever. I was just going with it.
Mm.
And I was just quite enjoying trying to work out what this thing was. And it was just, now the other thing about it was it was, I could see the outline of it, but it was kind of transparent. It's weird. At the same time, I could see through it.
Okay.
It's very sort. I'm just like, oh, what's going on? Then I've kind of like, it's kind of hit me. Hang on a minute. I've been moving here for a very long time,
Yeah.
and I appear to not be on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, right, and I'm going somewhere, and I seem to have trusted this thing to take me there.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of fear kicked in, and I just remember saying like a bit of like, oh, actually, what is going on here? I suppose my rational mind's got in the way. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? My logical processing has kicked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So I've
started
just
questioning. Yeah.
yeah. So I've just said to myself, stop. Right, and I did. I just stopped, and I was suspended in the air, free floating. Yeah. But the crazy thing was the second that I stopped, it stopped. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then I'm like, whoa, this thing is like synced into me. This thing can hear my thoughts.
Yeah.
This thing knows that I've stopped. It's like we're connected. And I was like, now fear isn't the right word. Just, I don't know.
Like awe or something, isn't it? Just like,
Oh, yeah, that's the word.
but
Just mesmerized.
so was it like a knowing, you just knew that you were instantly synced? Was there a question in your mind? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it did that by accident. No, I don't know. You just knew it.
No, yeah, yeah. There was no question. The moment I said stop, we both stopped. And
Mm.
there was this moment where we were like, I was just frozen. No, I don't mean frozen like when you're scared. Just
Mm.
I just stopped because I'd affirmed to myself that I was stopping.
Yeah.
And just as this moment, it's almost like we're eyeing each other out. It's almost like we're, all right, well, you make the next move. And he's like, well, no, you make the next move. Do you know what I mean? And there was just this, like we were weighing each other up.
Yeah.
And then what's happened is it's kind of rotated backwards. So it's still in this weird shape, like this arms kind of spread out, and its head kind of, it was like a humanoid form.
Yeah.
It was like an energy being. Yeah.
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 Okay. So very free flowing, not sort of having like a very physical body, dense like us, more
Yeah.
kind of energetic. Yeah.
Could see through it, and it was kind of like there was a bit of movement to it.
Yeah.
Just something I've never seen before, basically. Like yeah,
Wow.
I suppose energy being is the best words that I could describe it. It's
Mm.
rotated all the way back, and then it's kind of opened itself up. So it's now stood like, I suppose, like if you imagine the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, it's in that kind of shape. It's now open, right, it's rotating right to me,
Yeah.
like opened itself up like that, and it's literally got about 1 foot away from my face, right? And it's right before me now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's right here. And I'm just like that. Again, no sense of, no threatening sense.
Mm.
I didn't feel in danger.
Yeah.
And it, I could see the outline of its head, like you can see mine. But
Mm.
again, it was still this kind of like this energy, multicolored kind of. I can't really
Yeah.
word it. Yeah,
I
and
can see what you mean. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
almost like moving fluids in a way, quite fluid.
Fluids,
Yeah.
fluid. That's
Mm.
a good word. Yeah, yeah. Like lots of these fluids, and but it was almost like I could see like an outline of. I suppose you know when people go skiing and they wear them funky ski masks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could sort of make an outline of like an eyes or something, right?
Okay.
But they weren't human eyes. It wasn't like anything we'd seen, like a. Yeah, yeah. It just looked very weird, right? And it basically, as it got right close to me,
Yeah.
the only way I can explain this is I received a message off it. It was like a telepathic message, and it just basically it just said to me, right? I don't want to say it said to me because it didn't say anything to me. It
Yeah.
transmitted to me,
Yeah.
right? It's so hard to explain. I just received this communication, and it
Yeah.
basically said, "Do not be afraid." And that
Wow.
was it.
Oh wow. That's all you received in your mind. Just do not be.
That's all I received, yeah, or something like that. Don't be afraid. Do not fear it. And I was just like gobsmacked.
Wow.
And then a bit of fear did kick in. It was too much to take at this point. I
Yeah.
started thinking, where am I? What is going on? Where am I? And what is this? What am I? Who am I? You
Yeah.
know?
All
And
these
then
questions. Yeah.
yeah, and a little bit of fear kicked in, and I just literally, I don't know how I did this, but I transmitted one back, and I just said, or I didn't say, I thought,
Hmm.
I know it was saying, I just said, it's not my time. Uh, it doesn't feel like it's my time. Because I
Yeah.
thought I've got a choice here. I go with it, and I see where it takes me. But it was like I said, it all got a bit overwhelming at that point.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you thought you were dying, basically. Is that what you thought? Is that what you said?
No, no, I don't think. I sensed that it wanted to take me somewhere and show me stuff,
Oh.
but I was just it was too much to compute.
Yeah.
I suppose I got in the way. Do you know what I mean? Really, and I've kicked myself over the years. I've thought, I wonder what would have happened if I just said, "Yeah, all right, I won't be afraid. Let's go." You
Yeah.
know, show
Oh
me.
man. Yeah. It
Yeah,
could have
yeah.
been so interesting.
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in the moment, I kind of said to it, it's not me. It's not for me right now, or it's not my time. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was just led on my bed with my eyes open, back to where I started.
Oh
There
wow.
was no kind of like opening my eyes. There was no shock or jumping up like there had been so many times. I was just on my bed like that, and I've just like come out of this. Oh my God, what has gone on?
Wow. That quick. So you just appeared back on your bed, kind of.
Yeah, I was just back in my bed. The moment I sort of said,
Wow.
ready or whatever, I said to it, bang, okay, no worries, in your own time.
That's crazy. So
Mm.
what did you try to make out of this experience? Did you speak to anyone about it or try to kind of figure out?
Yeah. I did, yeah. Um, I mean, for a while, I had to process it myself.
Yeah.
And I remember being just like I'd just been touched by God. Can't explain it. Fear about certain things. It changed me. It absolutely changed me.
Mm,
How did it change me? Just them worries. I suppose at this point I was probably at the age of about 22. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the worries about death, the worries about, I suppose I went through school and I sort of left school thinking I'm a bit of a failure. I've messed up. I'm not good enough. I'm
Mm.
not worth it. A lot of that stuff had gone. I just felt at one with myself. I felt ready to take on anything, So like I said, I got back to living at my mum's house because I wanted to like learn more guitar. And I thought, let's just take that on. I can, go and making it famous in a rock and roll band's easy. You know what I mean? Let's just go do that. I can do what I want. I'm free. I'm touched. I've been touched by the spirit. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
then, and crazily, right? I remember thinking, and this is the nature of an addict. Okay, I remember thinking, it doesn't even matter if I die because there is no death. Yeah, there will
Yeah.
be beings, there will be friends waiting for me when I die. It's
Mm.
all right out there. So it doesn't matter if I die, so I can take loads of drugs. and then
Yeah.
then my life went like that.
Oh.
I went out and lived the rock and roll lifestyle, harder, more crazier, more insane than I ever have.
Oh, wow. So it almost took you down the other path that you kind of wanted to get out of. Yeah.
Yeah. See a lot of people online that have these experiences and they go and become a better person. They go and work for charity.
Yeah. But you went the other way.
The other way.
I mean, it's an experience, isn't it? Why, I mean, I guess on some level they say that really there is no good or bad. Everything is an experience. So, yeah. Wow, that's quite. So were you at that point you knew that you weren't making this up. You knew it wasn't a dream or you weren't just kind of hallucinating or anything like that. You knew that it wasn't down to the drugs because at that point you hadn't taken any drugs for like some time.
And even before that, I found that the experience happened more when I was dry and I wasn't under the influence.
Yeah.
Not to say it wasn't a side effect.
Exactly. Yeah.
But by now it was no. There's a spirit world. There's an astral plane.
Mm.
Non-physical reality, whatever terms you want to use.
Yeah.
I access it, or I have accessed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
that tells me that by this point, the main sort of thing the main interpretation I'd taken away from it all was, or the understanding that I'd arrived at was, I can exist without my body.
So you were invincible basically in a way.
Yeah. So that's where the foundations of my invincibility started to be laid. So I just remember thinking, I don't need this body to exist.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Yeah. So you were sure at this point that yes, there is more than this physical reality. Okay. So so you went into the path of rock and roll and everything. You lived that life. Then what happened?
Right. So through all that, experiences were still happening spontaneously from time to time. Just very rarely. Now at this point, I didn't feel I wanted to go and pursue it. Looking back, I should have gone and bought some books, and gone and researched it and gone and learned how to do it at will. But by this point, I was like, I'm not that bothered. I've had this beautiful experience. I want to go and live life, and I want to go and have fun. So I don't know why I wasn't. There was always that little question popping up. Oh, I wonder if I can do it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's almost like you had some unfinished business, isn't it? Before you continued on your spiritual journey, it's almost like you said in a way, oh well, let me just live a little more, let me just kind of.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I felt like. I thought, well, that spiritual thing, that spiritual path is always going to be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there for the rest of my life. I can pursue that at any point. I suppose I can only sort of pursue this dream while I'm young, in the here and now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I get to like 60, 70, I can't be going. I mean, that's not true. There are plenty of musicians. C6 Steve was an old guy when he made it. I was kind of thinking, I can go and do that spiritual stuff another time. It's all right. And then I went on this path. And again, by this point, addiction, even though I'd managed to get like a few weeks away from it all, addiction, looking back now, I think addiction grabbed me when I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
It's progressive, and it just, sometimes you can stop, but you don't always stay stopped. Always go back. And for me, this was the thumbs up. Well, it doesn't matter if drugs, because that was the big thing. I shouldn't take drugs because they might kill me.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they can't kill me. I can't die.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
Pretty brave. A brave way to live.
yeah,
But yeah.
that was my mindset. Looking back now, it's a very deluded, unhealthy mindset to have. And luckily, I can sit here now and laugh about it. I've seen tragedy and trauma with drugs. I've seen friends die. I've seen families be torn apart. Addiction is no laughing matter, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it did take my mental health from me, and it took a lot more from me.
Yeah.
So
you kind of seen both sides of the coin, haven't you, with the addiction stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, in the early days, I loved it. It gave me everything I want. It was like I was getting into music. I was like, love, peace, man. Woodstock, hippies, woo, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Free love. But when it gets you and you can't stop, it's a different animal altogether.
Yeah.
And that is where I was heading. I didn't know it at the time, and so for the next 7 or 8 years, that was my life, and I slipped further and further and further. I got thousands of pounds in debt because of drugs. I lost so many jobs. I lost good friendships. I lost, looking back, some of my ex-girlfriends are like absolute angels. Do you know what I mean? And looking back now, I'm like, oh, bloody hell, what? And I've ruined all that. I lost my home on several occasions. I had to sell my car. I had to sell my guitars. I had to sell all my equipment. I've had to beg for money for food. You know what I mean? I really did slide.
Really hit rock bottom with that, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and beyond. Yeah. I got that ill because then I started to lose touch with reality. Drug addiction started to affect me psychologically, big time. Yeah. Because as well, I used to always talk to people about the out of body experiences, all in the nightlife, in the clubs, in the bars, in the music venues, and no one had ever really heard of it.
Yeah.
The odd few people, mainly ones that were open to Buddhism or meditation, oh yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah. But it was very, very few and far between. I would say possibly about 2 or 3% of people that I spoke to were open-minded, and after such a profound experience like the one I just explained, I wanted to enlighten the world. Oh my God, listen, spirits exist. There is more. Listen, mate, you're living in this fear, and you don't need to. You don't need drugs to be happy. Yeah, look at you. You don't need to be drinking. And I was kind of a little bit deluded with it all, and I had dead long hair, and I was trying to be a rock god.
Yeah, I mean, talking about something like this in a club, probably not the best idea, I can imagine.
Yeah, so people were still oh, you want to stay away from that guy. He's a bit off the rails, and he doesn't, he's not right. He's not right in the head. To be fair, there was an element of truth because I was always stoned.
Yeah. But so what happened with your experiences at this point? So you were still having spontaneous ones, but did they get, did you see anything else again? Did you see any more beings?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, not for a long time. It was just, in fact, the OBEs did stop for quite some time. Okay. And I wasn't really that bothered about pursuing it. I was more bothered about this lifestyle that I was living. And I'm just trying to remember what happened next. So I remember trying to impress this girl, saying, "Oh, listen, there's more to life than you think. You need to come and have a look at this and blah blah blah."
Talk. Yeah.
Yeah. And she wouldn't buy it. She was like, "No, you're talking rubbish. You can't fly. You can't leave your body. You're not communicated with spirits." But I'm like, "No, listen. You banned, yeah." And you know, it kind of backfired, you know, because she thought I was an absolute Fruit Loop. But I remember saying, well, listen, why don't we go to the library and we'll find a book on it? And she's like, right, okay, go on then.
Oh wow, she actually went for it, yeah.
She went for
It's
it,
pretty
yeah,
impressive.
she took the bait, yeah. And I went to the library and I said to the librarian, have you got any books on out-of-body experience? She types in the computer, she went, what? But she's like, no, sorry. All right, try astral projection. Yeah, no, sorry. Oh, seriously? So then I kind of become determined to find a book.
Yeah.
And I did. Eventually, I did find one. I found this book by a guy called Sylvan Muldoon, and I'd recommend it to anyone. I don't now believe everything that's in that book, but I think Sylvan Muldoon was possibly, from my research, the pioneer of like analysis. You know?
What's his full name?
Sylvan, Sylvan, Muldoon, Sylvan Muldoon. So from my research, all the literature before this was in line with, I suppose, like Gnostic stuff, philosophy, you know, like Blavatsky. Yeah, it was all like spiritual kind of stuff. They were sort of saying, this is the actual, this is what it is, this is what you must do, blah, blah, blah. Where Sylvan Muldoon was a bit like me. He was like, whoa, what is this? And he was kind of like, from an objective standpoint, questioning it, like trying to get meaning out of it. And I got a lot of comfort out of that book, you know?
Yeah.
I felt like I found someone who understood, who could help me, because all this time I've been out there on my own trying to understand this.
Yeah, totally. It makes a huge difference, isn't it, when you finally find something that is like, yes, that explains it. Yeah.
Some answers, yeah. So I started to read this book, and towards the end of the book, he starts giving techniques on how to induce it, right? To bring it on willfully.
Yeah.
So that was the next sort of stage in my development, my progression, and I took on some of these suggestions and I induced it. For the first time, I induced it, and I came out of my body, and by my own volition, you know. So I laid on the bed and I did these techniques, and I found myself rise up, and I managed to like, So I'm just trying to see you can see my hands right. So I've basically come out of the bed like that, and I've managed to like stand at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
On the floor, and I thought, whoa, I'm out, I'm doing this, okay, turn around, I could see my body, I'm like, whoa, this is amazing, I'm doing this, and I'm trying to just trying to navigate it, trying to get used to the motion, the movement.
Yeah.
I thought, right, okay, now by this point, I know that I can, defy the laws of physics and travel through walls,
Yeah.
right? So I thought, yeah, right. So I thought, right, go through that wall and see what's in there. So I've gone through into the next room, and I knew the next room was my flatmate's bedroom.
Yeah.
I noticed that he's in bed, right? And I've just felt part of, oh shit, I'm kind of invading this man's privacy, and all of a sudden, my moral compass kicked in. I thought, I shouldn't be in his room, man. I don't, you know, who knows what he's doing in there? This is not right.
Yeah.
So I kind of like shook out of it, and I came out of it, back to bed. But that was like a bit of a game changer. That.
Wow. So it made you realize that you can actually control it yourself now.
Yeah. So now my mind, I've been open up to a load of new other ideas. Okay. So
it's like it opened Pandora's box, didn't it?
Absolutely. And this is where the Messiah complex started to kick in a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, I can do this when I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I have the power. Yeah. I am the operant power. Yeah. Okay. Now,
in a way, yeah, that's because you are controlling.
Yeah. So this is where I started questioning, where I started thinking, have I had all these alleged spontaneous ones? Have I actually been controlling it? You know, because Muldoon started to introduce me to the notion of consciousness and in the different layers of consciousness. I started to think, and he was talking about, I think he says somewhere, the fundamental law of astral projection is the subconscious will. So if you if you think about this experience long enough in your conscious mind, right,
Yeah.
it will eventually become a part of your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So subconscious desire, this subconscious will, is how you bring it on at will. You know, it gets so strong that when you go into that meditative state, you can then tap into that and bring that. So I can't remember ill word. It's been a long time since I read it, but
Yeah.
so when I started to like learn about consciousness, and the first time I heard the word consciousness was through Muldoon. And I started to like think, wow. But again, so my Messiah complex is building at this point. I've already sort of developed it a little bit because I'm the only guy in town that's aware of this stuff, and has experienced this stuff. And now I know I can do it when I want. So what does that mean? Yeah. What does that mean? Now the thing is, at this point in my life, drug addiction I'd started to slip down the ladder here. Okay. So I'd started to basically do things against my morality. Like there were times when I was having severe withdrawals.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, you were kind of really much under the influence of drugs.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And it moved from a habitual desire to take drugs to a need. Yeah. So I was like, when I wasn't high or under the influence of alcohol, I was withdrawing. I was like, I needed. Do you know what I mean?
So what happened after that? You were in this place for a while, and then what kind of made you think, oh, like I need to do something to get out of this
addiction? The addiction.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it was an out of body experience, I suppose. So now I've started. Well, like I say, the Messiah complex started to kick in, and I started to think, you know, how can I use this out of body experience to benefit me? So I started to have all sorts of corrupt thoughts, right? I know what I can do. I can spy on people. Yeah. I gather information, and because I was in a desperate place. Like I said, there were times where I'd beg people for money so I could feed myself. I got really, really ill, so I was in desperation.
You were, in a really.
I'm now living on the survival level. How can I survive in this world? Drugs had by this point stripped a lot off me. Obviously, all the physical, material stuff, but more than anything else, my dignity, my ethics, my values, which weren't always the best, to be honest. You know what I mean? But now they weren't good at all. So I'm then starting to think, I know I can use this gift for me. So you see people out there, like I've come to learn later in life that you can use this gift to heal people. There's a lot more you can do with it. You can use it to help people, enlighten people, but they weren't my thoughts. I had this big master plan, right, of moving down to London, getting around where all the politicians and the big bankers sort of hang out, go and spy on them, write a letter to a politician. I know you were with Mary last night. Drop 10 grand to this address or I'm going to lift the lid. And that's where my mind was going. And I was running on this. I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, because this is pretty much the only thing you're concerned about right now is just how to survive and get more drugs.
Yeah, basically. It's exactly what it was, So I'm then full of this kind of like, I've become this dark person with not nice intentions. I wanted to harm people, and I wanted to like destroy people's lives to get loads of money out of them, basically. That's where my thinking was taking me.
So what happened with the that out of body experience that you said?
So I had this out of body experience, right? And so I've basically fallen asleep on the couch, and I have found myself out of my body, and I'm just like hovering above the couch. Now I've looked to the end of the couch, and there's about 7 or 8 faces, right, in like a semicircle. Now the way I can describe it, like a deck of playing cards. Right. So the king. Right. So it looked like 8 kings from a deck of playing cards. They were like wearing them old kind of medieval kind of clothes,
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, they looked like these ancient beings.
Yeah.
About 8 of them. They all looked very serious. So,
Mm.
and they were just looking at me. Now the thing is, they didn't. It was just like heads and shoulders. Below, it was like there was nothing below. It was just like it kind of, yeah. So yeah,
So they were like, okay, so they were like these 8 floating heads almost, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, because that's the from what I've heard, when people describe when they see spirits, that's kind of how they describe. They have no body, or they have a
yeah,
sort of see-through body. Okay. So
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah. So they were just there, right? And I'm just like, whoa, I'm excited, but I'm high. I'm out of my face at this point. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm still now. I've had enough out of body experiences to know when I'm in that state.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Mm.
I knew that I was in the OBE state. And I'm just like floating around, and I've like, I've honed in on these beings.
Mm.
And I'm just like, oh whoa, I've not seen these guys before. Do you know what I mean? And one of them has started, like the centre one, the one in the middle, has kind of left the pack and started to approach me, and it started to like come down like the side of my legs, and it's like got right close to me,
Yeah.
and it's about here at this point. Now, all the while this has been happening, from the moment I've come out of body,
Mm.
I've been aware of a presence in the corner of the room. I've known that there is someone else overseeing all this, okay,
Mm.
and watching. And
You
so
mean previously to that, or just in that moment, just in that kind of?
just in that experience, I'm not
Okay.
saying like when I was sat having my breakfast in the morning. I'm
Ah,
talking
okay.
about from the moment I've come out of my body, and I've realised I'm out of my body,
Mm.
and I'm aware that there are these faces at the end of the couch. I'm
Yeah.
also aware, and I don't know how because I didn't really see. I was just aware of an energetic presence
Okay.
in the corner of the room, and as my head is, so like I said, one of these beings has left the pack, and it
Mm.
starts to come down the side. And as I've sort of, my head has followed it, like down the side of my leg, past my knee, down the side, I've like seen this being now in the corner of the room. They just stood there observing,
Yeah.
and they're just watching. And this face has come to right here, right? And I remember thinking, wouldn't it be really scary if that face went really scary, right? And hey ho, you know,
He
it went really, yeah, it changed. It was like, so have you ever seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
Yeah, yeah.
No, sorry, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
One of them I've seen. I can't remember which one, but
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So for anyone who's watching this, there's this film Indiana Jones, and they find the Ark of the Covenant, and they open the Ark, and all these spirits come out, and it's all beautiful, but then they turn like demonic. They turn like, and that is what it was like. It was just a normal face, and it just changed form into this like this horrible like
Oh
horrific
wow.
demonic thing, and I felt a fear like I have never felt in my entire life.
Wow.
Right? I absolutely like. Oh, it was horrible. Yeah. But what has happened is, as this has happened,
Yeah.
this other being from the corner of the room
Mm.
has just shot over to me,
Okay.
and it's just kind of gone through this face, and this face has just puffed and disintegrated into nothing. And so now I'm face to face with this other being, and
Okay.
I'm like obviously traumatized by this thing. And the most weirdest thing happened, and I don't know what this means, and I don't know what it was, but this being is just like lifted its hand up, and it had this kind of like blue crystal in its hand, this beautiful glowing blue crystal, and it just this beautiful shining light, and it just held its hand out and reached, like offered it to me,
Okay.
and as I grabbed it, I just all of a sudden back on the couch with my eyes open in my physical body, just like, whoa, shit, what was that? Oh my god! So now I'm just like,
That's insane.
yeah, it really is. Now I tell you what is insane, right? a few months leading up to this event, I'd got to know this girl who she owned this shop. She was like a bit of a hippie chick. She was like, you know, sold the candles and all the joss stick shit. She was a really cool girl, you know. And and I remember I'd seen her around town. I didn't really know her, and I went into a shop to buy something, and she had some like really funky books. I said, "Oh, you're really spiritual, aren't you?" She said, "Oh, yeah, yeah." And we got chatting, and just, you know, you sense it with someone. So, yeah, out of body experience. She's like, "Oh yes, yes." So I kind of found someone who I could really. I'm like, "Really? Right? Okay. Have you ever had one?" She's like, "Yeah, one or two." And I found this girl who I could talk to, right? Now, at the time, she was living about an hour's drive from. She lived in a different town. And a few days after this experience, on the couch with this blue torch, with this whatever it was, this stone, this crystal, I remember I'd gone to this town. I remember thinking, I need to nip in and see this girl and tell her what's just happened. And I've walked into the shop. I'm like, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, "Listen," I said, "this thing's happened." And she's like, there's a presence here. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Something's with you. Something's just like come in as you've come in." I'm like, "Right, what do you mean?" And then she said, "Oh, wow." She's like, "My throat chakra's going crazy." Right? I didn't really know much about the chakras and all this. I'd heard about it. I'd not really researched it. This girl was like really spiritual. You know, she was into spirituality, like a new age spirituality.
Yeah, she knew her stuff. Yeah.
New stuff, you know, crystals, Reiki healing, all that stuff. She was really intelligent, really clued up. Chatting to her, and she's just into it. And I wanted to like articulate this experience. And she just interrupted me. She went, "My throat chakra's going crazy." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I don't know." She goes, "I've never felt it." And she just looked at me and she just said, "The blue stone's calling you."
Oh.
I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
Like, "The blue stone is calling you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Whoa." I said, "Well, that's pretty weird because I was just about to tell you a story that involves the blue stone."
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you on about?" She goes, "I don't know what it means. I don't know what it's saying, but I just need to tell you, the blue stone is calling you." And you know, still to this day, this must have been 10 years ago. This must have been 10 years ago. And still to this day, I have never found out what this means. I've researched crystals. I've looked into crystals. Now, I did find one crystal called kyanite. And apparently this is like, I mean, I don't understand crystals. I'm not really an advocate. I believe that there is, that they have properties and they do things, you know. I'm open-minded to it.
They can be quite powerful. Yeah. Okay. So you found out about kyanite. What happened then?
It didn't really take me anywhere after that. To be honest, I'd say that the next 12 months were a very dark time after that. I started to realise that something spiritual was trying to get my attention. I started to admit that I was in a bad place in life. I needed to change. But I couldn't stop taking drugs. At this point, I plummeted further and further and further. And then I started to return to them thoughts. Oh, I've been possessed. There's some demon got inside me. Do you know what I mean? This is why I'm taking loads of drugs. So I've come to learn that an addict is like, the nature of an addict is an addict doesn't really want to take drugs, but they're doing it anyway, you know, against their will.
Yeah.
That's where I was at. I remember having this out-of-body experience where I was just lifted out, and in the corner of my room was this energy being, again, similar kind of thing, just head and shoulders, right? But it looked beautiful, this one. It was a very colourful, like, light blue colour. And it was even like, when I looked at it, it was like I could see the cosmos within it. Right, I can't explain. It was very glittery and magical and beautiful, and it was very nice. It was very calm and peaceful. And next to it was this kind of what I can only describe as a portal. Yeah, like this white, cloudy, circular. So you know when you pull a plug out of a bath and it makes that, there's a word for it. It makes that sort of swirly.
Oh, like a whirlpool or something, like
a whirlpool. Yeah. So this portal looked like that. It looked like I was looking down a plug hole.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was all like whirly and magical, and this being again kind of transmitted in its sort of peaceful way. you know, the door's here. When you want to come through it, let us know. You know, kind of no pressure. No, I mean, I'm articulating it in my English, no, you know, Lancashire voice, but it was basically saying, you know, we'll show you what's on the other side when you're ready. You know, in your own time. You know, this life's better basically than the drugs. You know.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, go away. I'm not ready. Like, so I'm like maybe like 2 or 3 months away from drugs, trying to like process what's just happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, I've like I said, I've become a person that I didn't like. I've stolen money. I've hurt people. I've cheated on my girlfriend. I've done all this stuff that doesn't.
Yeah. But so now you were using so spirituality more as a way to get you out of that place and trying to learn more about it.
Yeah, so I've been introduced into this organisation that basically helps people like me, and they offer a set of tools to overcome addiction, and it involves basically cultivating a spirituality. So it involves getting in touch with a spiritual power. And there are a series of stages and phases, things you have to do to get close to the spirituality. And the idea is basically, get on this spiritual path and you will beat addiction. So that is basically what I set sail on. I'm going back now about 7 years ago when I got introduced to this. The first 18 months, 2 years was tricky. I'd maybe get a couple of months without a drug, then have a relapse. I'd get a month without a drug, have another relapse, maybe 6 months, have a relapse. So I was in this sort of
in between
at the crossroads, and then I started to get it. I started to get my head around it, and I overcome it, and I've committed to the spiritual path, and I've stayed on it. And I'm like, today it's like been 5 years and 3 months since I've put any form of chemical in me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, apart from coffee, a lot of coffee.
I think that's allowed.
Yeah, exactly. So since then, I've had a couple of really nice out of body experiences.
Did you do any more research in terms of, you know, just trying to understand these sort of non-physical realities and what you were seeing, trying to understand what are some of the things that you were seeing? Did you do more?
A little bit. I've discovered a guy called Swedenborg. He kind of helped me. Yeah, he kind of helped me come to terms with some stuff, but I can't really remember what I read about it. I just remember finding a bit of solace in this guy. He understood, and he was very much talking about like, look, you know, if you're doing this stuff, your motive's got to be pure. You know, you've got to be in it for the right reasons. If you're in it for the wrong reasons, it's going to lead to destruction. Do you know what I mean?
So it's kind of like, how do you use that power that you gain from this?
Power's the right word. Awareness. Do you know what I mean? But at this stage, I thought, right, I just need to have some time away from all this. I'm not right mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm all over the shop. I need to heal. I need to repair. I need to change. I need to transform. I need to sort of focus on getting well. And that became my focus. So I made this decision. I don't really want to know anything about out of bodies right now. I did find a guy online. You've probably come across his name. His name's Todd Akamesis, and I remember finding he was like one of the first. Throughout my path, I didn't really have access to the internet, and when I did get on the internet, I looked around and there wasn't really a discussion going on. Just a few people here and there talking about it. And then I remember meeting this guy. So if anyone's listening and is new to this stuff and wants to learn, you know, explore it and learn off people that are further down the line than I am, far more advanced than I am, then check out this Todd Akamesis guy. He's really cool. And I'll find some more names a bit later on towards the end of the interview. But I remember going online and finding this guy like put videos on about it, and he was like talking about his experiences. He was talking about his understanding, and that kind of felt nice. I was like, oh wow, you know, the stuff I'd been reading, a lot of it was linked to like black magic. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
What, the out of body stuff, or
stuff like out of body stuff. Yeah, Aleister Crowley and you know. And I started to think, oh, is it, mate? And I'd been to a few churches to look for some answers, and they were like, oh, stay away from this stuff. This is wizardry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they started reeling off these Bible verses, like, stay away from sorcery. That was it.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
associated with the devil and all that stuff. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I'm just coming off the back of a 15-year drug binge,
Yeah.
right? I'm a bit exhausted and a bit weary as it is. And I'm like, oh, great, that's all I need. You know, I've been dancing with the devil all this time. So you know what I mean? More
Yeah.
questions, more
That's
kind
the
of.
last thing you want to hear, yeah. Especially if you've experienced them so many times and spontaneously in the beginning, like you said, before you
Right.
know how to do it yourself, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so what was the sort of the most powerful kind of thing or practice that you incorporated into your life that kind of made you, really made a difference to you and allowed you to kind of step into more that the right path, so to speak?
So what helped me step away from addiction and basically get on the path?
What are the main things that you started incorporating, and you did this program? So what were some of the main things that they taught you there that you managed to kind of,
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's about, so I come out of addiction and I've come out of treatment. I was in and out of treatment for 18 months. I get introduced to this spiritual program of recovery. For anyone who might be suffering, who's watching, it's called the 12-step program. It's through an organisation called Narcotics Anonymous. If you're struggling with alcohol, they do the same thing in Alcoholics Anonymous. If you want to learn more about this stuff, I'd strongly recommend researching Russell Brand, an old comedian that is also, well, I shouldn't have said that. I've broken his anonymity, but he talks enough about it anyway.
Yeah, we all know about Russell.
Yeah, yeah. Go and check that out. And it's a 12-step program. So you go through this process. So step one is simply admitting that you have a problem and that you can't basically manage your own life. Drugs have got more power over than you, and you need some help, basically.
Yes.
Step two is worded, we come to believe that there is a power that can help us and restore us and heal us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically saying a spiritual power. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then step three is so step two is about becoming willing that this spirituality might help. Step two is step three, is make a decision to turn to that power. So it's all suggestions. No one forces on. We just say, well, this is what's worked for us. If you want to overcome addiction, this is how we've done it. We have turned to a spiritual power. So once you sort of get that foundation, A, there is hope. You can beat it.
Yeah.
And B, you need a power that is more powerful than addiction, and that is spiritual power. So, open your mind to that. So once you've got that foundation of that you can't do it alone, but you can do it, and we will do it together. You're not on your own. Once you get that foundation, then you have to start doing what a lot of psychologists would call the shadow work.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dark night of the soul. So that point where it's all, at first you're on this pink fluffy cloud. Way, I'm gonna spiritual enlightenment, liberation. Actually,
There's
before
more
you,
to it than that. Yeah.
before you get to the good stuff, we need to have a look at you. We need to go within. Yeah. So the next kind of 3 steps, right? So it's all about looking at your life experience, and you have to basically cover everything, right? So it can be like, first of all, maybe about your characteristics. So the things that you like, say guilt, shame, regret, embarrassment, fear, insecurities, jealousy, anger, resentment, and you have to look at all these parts of you and your emotions, and then you have to really come to terms with, a lot of people out there taking drugs, they think they've got it all going on, they think they're living the dream, but truthfully, they're actually really insecure, really afraid, and it's about looking at that dark side of your being. Yeah. And then it's
why they take drugs in the first place, isn't it? Because I guess it's most insecurities that make you go into that path in the first place. I guess I don't really know, but
yeah, I'd say so. it's basically they're escaping reality because they can't handle reality. Why can't handle reality? Usually trauma, yeah, but it can be other things, yeah. So that's basically what it is. It's to mask what is really going on, yeah, to change the way you feel, and that is the truth. So when you come into this process and you've accepted that you've got a problem and you've accepted that there is a solution and you've become willing to tap into that solution, right? Well, let's have a look at the problem before we get to the good stuff. You know, and it's not just about all this like, oh, woe me, trauma. Through addiction, you know, we've harmed others. So we have to look at all our harms to others. Yeah, we've become jealous of others. We've become resentful and bitter towards others. So really, it's all this negative stuff that's leading us to the drugs. So we have to look at all this stuff and go through this process.
Yeah, definitely. That's the most challenging part, I would say, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not nice. I've done this process like with tears, crying my eyes out. Yeah, but then once you come through that, you come to realise that there is a way that you can combat all that. So that we then get introduced to like the virtues, the spiritual principles. So we now have ways to overcome all that negative stuff, and it's all to do with like forgiveness, surrender, letting go, accepting. Compassion, selfless service, and to tap into this new way of living. Basically thinking, you know, addiction is very self-centered. So instead of like putting self at the center, we now put others at the center. So you get loads of people coming through recovery, they all start getting into volunteer work, they're all helping the community. It's a beautiful community to be involved with, the recovering community. It's phenomenal to watch lives get changed, yeah. And then once you sort of come to terms with the negative side and you've been introduced to the spiritual side that you can work with, then we start looking at all like the wreckage of our past and how we can fix that. I suppose rebalance the karma, and we call it making amends. So go and fix that. And once you've been through that process, then we start getting introduced into like meditation and other forms of spirituality where you can get and cultivate spiritual experiences. And I've had one or two like really beautiful experiences out of body during the 12-step program. One where I was like taken, I time travelled basically, went back to an old house that I used to live in just to observe some events. And I know that it had to be time travel because the house got knocked down 10 years before. But that's, you know, unless I'm, you know, one of the guys I researched talks about the simulation theory, so it might not actually have been that location. It might have just been a computer-generated version of it. But
but for you, it was real. It was like the real deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What happened in this experience then that you...
what happened in this experience? I just felt myself come out of the body. I was zipping around. Now, sometimes when I come out, I have no visuals. Yeah, it's just tactile. It's just feeling. Yeah, motion and the sort of like beautiful wind in the face. And I'm just zipping around, thinking, oh, I'm out. This feels quite nice. And I felt something just grab my hand. Okay. And literally like as if I was to grab your hand, you know, you feel it, yeah. But when it grabbed my hand, I just felt this sort of, it's all energetic. It's like an energetic exchange. I just felt this love, yeah, for the want of a better word. I felt this safety, this security. Yeah. It's almost like, you know, come with me kind of energy, yeah. So I just went with it, and I was flying. I could feel myself flying, and then all of a sudden, as I'm traveling, and my visuals open up, and I can just see from a distance the old house that I used to live in. I'm like, wow, and I've gone into it, and this is the house where it all first started happening when I was about 16, 17.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Quite a funny story actually. Me and my dad used to always say, "Oh, this house is haunted. There's a presence here." And then after the OBEs, I remember saying, "Do you think we're haunting ourselves? Do you think it's us?" It's
a bit of a mind game, isn't it, when you start trying to figure it out?
Yeah, that's the worst thing sometimes you can do, try and figure it out.
Yeah. So do you think this experience had some sort of a significance because it happened when you were on your way to recovery?
Yeah. I was definitely like really committed to this spiritual path, and I made this decision. I
Mm.
don't ever want to drink or take a drug again. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like I'd really surrendered to spirituality, yeah, and a path of change and a path of growth. And I think it was like just a little, sneak preview. Again, call it God, call it the cosmos, call it whatever. This higher intelligence, this higher mind saying kind of like, right, well done. Let's have a look at what's available. Come on, we'll just like let you in a little bit more. Have a look at this. This is what's capable. You can, yeah. And it was a beautiful experience. It really was. I felt so protected and so safe. Do you know what I mean? Again, there was no kind of like violent OBE
Mm.
symptoms.
Yeah, like being pulled.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
did you
yeah.
see anything in the house? Was it like a old memory or something? Or
Yeah. So basically, it wasn't. I was just literally. I came in and like, we used to have a really long corridor,
Mm.
right? And I just went in through the front of the house, through the wall, and I just found myself floating.
Yeah.
Look, and I couldn't hear any conversations. I could just see people walking around, people that I knew, and I was just observing, just going, "Wow, maybe I have been haunting myself all these years." You know what I mean? Maybe it is me. That's. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that is some theories. I've read on people. I've read up people who meet these beings, and these beings turn out to be that person's higher self. And they say, "Yeah, I am you.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
am you."
Yeah, I've heard of that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which raises more questions for me. And then basically, when I was in this environment, I was just there watching. I'm thinking I've just done a bit of time traveling here. I am in this house that got knocked down 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And then you kind of get bored just watching people walk around. So I thought I'll just go and see if the garden's the same how it used to be.
Yeah.
And I've gone to the garden, and again, like I explained my first out of body experiences, everything just seems to have this glow. It's all a bit more magnificent. It's all a bit more colourful. And
Mm.
I'm in the garden, and the trees look beautiful. The grass was shining. It was magical. And I've taken the opportunity to think, right, well, I need to. I'm still not that good at controlling my movement, so I
Yeah.
think I'm just going to get used to going, all right, go up, go down, do a loop, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, this is really nice, and I'm just floating around the garden,
You're like experimenting with it.
experimenting with it, almost like I suppose you see a kid like playing in the garden, they're just in their own little world, and they're just their actual the experience of being alive is enough for that kid. Do you know what I mean? They don't need a drink. They don't need or
Any of those
whatever.
extra things, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, they're just in that moment. That's where I was, and then I was, yeah. I just ended up back in my body.
Mm.
Really nice, yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, so it seems like you were having more of these kind of loving, positive experiences out of body once you started doing the
Yeah,
program. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Once I started to let go of the worldly temptations and
Mm.
destructive behaviours,
Yeah.
and I started to apply self-love and self-respect and self-care.
Mm.
That's when the experiences started to get a bit nicer. However, we've digressed again. There were these encounters of these shadow beings,
Mm.
and this started to happen in either my first or second year at university. So I'd been clean for at least 2 years at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember just having this experience, and it was like the moment that I came out of my body, it was like a shadow being. I don't know what the right term for it is. I've heard loads of different names for it, but it was like a bit of an aggressive, threatening being or energy or entity. I couldn't really see anything apart from this. Like, it was like a black cloak, and you could just see its eyes, and it was like shoot like a snake
Oh wow.
attacking it, and I'm like, oh, and I could feel it, like, and to the point where I'm like, oh, get away, and I'm throwing some punches, and I've sort of come out, and I'm like, that was weird. I didn't like that.
But did you say it came out of you? Like it appeared from you?
No, it was like the moment I came out of my body,
Ah, okay. It was there.
it was before me.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was there, and it jumped on me, it attacked me.
Mm.
And this probably happened maybe about another 3 or 4 times over the next couple of months. So at the point, I'm like, oh, what is this all about? I
Yeah.
thought I was on the spiritual path now. I thought I was in. I thought I was covered. Cool, you know. But this, I thought, I thought the good stuff was coming. And you know, I have. This has led. You know, by this point, I've read quite a lot of books. Now I say quite a lot of books. I've done a good bit of research. You know,
Yeah.
I've started researching the Monroe Institute. I've started researching Robert Monroe. I've read all his books. I've really got into this guy called Tom Campbell, just mainly his YouTube videos. Tom Campbell was a facilitator at the Monroe Institute, but he's kind of gone off and done his own stuff now.
Okay.
And he's really helped me. This guy has really, really helped me understand. Now, he's basically said that these experiences are what, for the want of a better word, God is giving you like a fear test. Do you know what I mean? It's like just tests showing you that you might still have a few fears you need to work through, whatever it may be. It might have nothing to do with out of body. Yeah, you might just be afraid of failure. You might be afraid of success. You might be afraid of, but it's something in you trying to get your attention to say there is still fear. Before you can ascend, transcend, and experience the highest form of spiritual enlightenment, you need to be free of fear.
Yeah. It's almost like it's like reflecting you, what's inside of you, and trying to get you to sort that out, and kind of before you go into the next level, kind of.
Absolutely.
Speak. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, before I can start tapping into this stuff to like heal people, I believe, like, you know, Tom Campbell talks about when you go out of body, you can access certain realms, for the better, of certain realities, and in these realities you can glean information about things, events, and one of them could be you can diagnose people. Is that not diagnose? What's the other word? Prognosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can work out what condition somebody's got.
Oh, okay. So it's like you tapping into that sort of, what do they call it? The Akashic records or something, that knowledge, the cosmic knowledge or something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The database, the hard drive of the universe. Yeah. But not only that, you can work with it to heal people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't go out healing people when I've got fear, when I've got ego. Do you know what I mean? So I believe that now that these shadow things, right, were parts of me trying to teach me that I've got stuff I need to work on. It's like a projection of my own subconscious fear.
Yeah.
That I'm not even aware of.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you deal with that? What was your sort of practice?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So again, through researching people's experiences, I was told love conquers all. Yeah. There's no more powerful force in the universe than love. Yeah. So I don't know.
Was that more of a Buddhist kind of teaching that you were that you got that from? Because
Well,
I can't see the scientists saying, "Oh yeah, you should just love these beings."
It was Tom Campbell.
Oh,
Right?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went to one of the names I mentioned earlier, a guy called Todd Akamesis from London. He was putting on a talk somewhere, and I went along and I asked him, this stuff got spoke about, and he was again saying, look, you have to approach these things with love, you know. So I thought, right, okay, I'll give that a go. If it happens again, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I think I did read it somewhere else. I think Jade Shaw. I think she was just starting to come on the scene, and you just watch discussions on Facebook. You see people talking about this stuff, and I read other people's comments, and it was a thing that kept popping up. You know, love is the way. You know, yeah, I've had this experience. It's nothing to be afraid of. You know, they can't harm you. They're not even. You basically go out there and project. It's a manifestation of your fear trying to get your attention to teach you something.
Yeah.
And basically, I think it's like to cultivate love. Now, I might be wrong. Not everybody agrees with this theory. Some people genuinely think these entities have their own existence and they just pop off and they go and annoy someone else.
Yeah.
Some people say it is somebody who has died. Yeah? So let's just say you have a friend who's like really like a devout atheist, to use a moron, and they just basically end up dying and realizing that they've been wrong all their life. Oh shit, there is an afterlife. Oh my God, all my arguments and theories mean nothing. I've had it wrong all this time.
Yeah.
But they won't accept it, and they become angry, they become hostile.
Yeah. So it's almost like a stuck spirit, isn't it? Like someone who's stuck in.
Stuck between this world and that, and a higher spiritual reality.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of theories, people have to go and have to make their own mind up.
Yeah. So you were literally looking into all of these different perspectives and trying to figure out what's right for you, what it might be.
Trying to figure out what they are and what they want from me, what's going on.
Yeah.
Why am I having this experience? Do you know what I mean? They were quite violent. They weren't, do you know what I mean? They kind of invade you.
Just scary. Yeah, you don't want to have that around you, I guess.
No. So, lo and behold, soon after, I came out of body, and there's a shadow being, and it's like attacking me. I can't really explain how it's like they just like coming at you like that, and it's prodding you with the
like
face.
Face, yeah.
Yeah, like trying to like suck energy out of you, and it's like you feel it. So I remember just looking at it. Obviously, I've learned by now it's all telepathic communication out there, and I've just kind of looked at it and just thought the words, "I love you," it's okay, I'm your friend, come here, and I've gone in to give it a hug, and it did just go, it just went.
So that's it. You literally just said, "Come here, give me a hug," and I love you, and it went.
Basically, and I'm just like, I love you, and that was it. And it didn't happen again for years. Now it did. It has happened maybe twice in the last 12 months. Okay, I mean, since then, since I've applied that love and I've taken the suggestion on and I've tried it, I've had some beautiful experiences with like more loving and caring higher beings where I've been lifted out of my body, and I can only explain it as being healed. So almost like they've got the hands, you feel them lifting you up, and you can feel the hands on you, and you just feel like this charge, this energy going through you. It's hard to explain.
Wow.
But it feels like it's just like love. There's no other word to explain it. It's like they're just injecting you with love,
Yeah.
And now these experiences have happened when I've just coming to the end of my degree or during like exam periods. I'm under a lot of stress. I'm under a lot of pressure. Got a lot of fear. And it's almost like just this spiritual assistance from the unseen world saying, "You're all right. Come on, here's some love. Get through it. You're going to be okay. It doesn't really matter if you fail or not. It's okay." And then maybe when I've allowed my other side to run with their like, "Oh, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not blah, blah, blah." Maybe this is like when a shadow experience happens. So maybe I don't know. I'm still learning, Desi. I'm still questioning. I'm still analysing. I'm still exploring. So that's kind of...
I mean, there's so much, isn't it? There's just so much to explore and kind of dig into and go into. But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that theory that everything is a projection of us, like about our inner world. So whatever you're experiencing on a physical or non-physical level is kind of a projection of what's already inside of you.
So there you go, Desi. That's kind of like where I'm up to. They're my out of body experiences. For hours and hours and hours, and analyze it, interpret it, explore it. But that's, I suppose if anyone, just like a few final thoughts to summarise, it's better without drugs. Better without drugs. Stay away from drugs. It'll slow you down. It'll slow your growth down. And if anyone is like still has got this far and is still listening and watching, then and you want to explore this stuff, like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing, but there are people out there that do. A few names that I'd strongly recommend that you go and check out are Robert Monroe, Tom Campbell, the Sylvan Muldoon. There's a few good guys, like there's a great author, I've only read bits, but a guy called Jürgen Zive, a guy called Bob Peterson, a guy called Graham Nichols, and a guy called Robert Bruce. I would go and research them names if you really want to take out-of-body experience seriously and you want to learn.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. That's really useful. I think a lot more people are now getting into that. I think it's becoming a lot more sort of out in the open.
Yeah.
Say. Yeah. But why do you think, so let's do this as a final kind of question. I guess I like to finish on a big question.
There we go.
Well, firstly, how do you see, can you imagine your life being like living your life without any of these kind of experiences, whether it's the out of body or the spirituality? Like, why do you think it's important for people to kind of try to bridge that gap between the material and the spiritual world? Or is it important even?
Is it important? Well, it's not important for people who are shut off to it. You know, maybe atheists, agnostics, or people who see this stuff as demonic or wrong. You know, I mean, I don't think it is for them. I'd say it is for me personally. Yeah, you know, something's been trying to get my attention for a long time. I've ignored it for a long time, and I think it's important for everyone, whoever you are, atheist or not atheist, you know, open-minded or closed-minded. But we're all, you know, cohabiting in this planet Earth. We're all heading in the same direction anyway. You know, we're all, you know, there is no gap. It's already been bridged. This realm and that realm, it's already been bridged. You know what I mean? It's down to us to walk across that bridge. If we want to, we have free will. Yeah, we have free will. And I just believe that we're all here on this earth to learn lessons. But the lessons I've got to learn are going to be different to the lessons you've got to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that when I die, I'll have to go somewhere else to learn more lessons. I don't really know what the end game is. It's a bit too much to try and comprehend. You
Yeah.
know, it's hard enough comprehending how to work the washing machine sometimes. You know, like I said, I've got to live here, you know, in this reality. But we're all gonna walk that bridge eventually. So why not? I heard some guy, I think it was Todd Ackermatis actually, once said that when you go on holiday, you like to have a look on the internet at the pictures at your resort. You have to have a look in your magazine and check out the local area. So why not go and check out the afterlife while you're here?
True. I agree. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, if there's one thing that we know for sure, it is that we're going to die one day.
Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah.
physically.
Well, physically, yeah, physically. But yeah, we do know that someday we're gonna be rid of this physical body. And whether, you know, for people who believe in the afterlife, then, you know, you're gonna go in the afterlife. People who don't, then you can, I guess that's what works for them. But I also see it like that. I completely agree. I think it's like, why not learn about it while you still have the time to, or at least in order to kind of not have that fear as much, because I mean the fear of death is so huge, and especially in the Western society, because we don't talk about death at all. And actually I had a previous conversation in my previous podcast with a lady who's like a soul midwife, and she helps people to die a peaceful death. And, you know, she was saying that it's such a huge problem now because people are just so scared of dying, and it literally paralyzes them. They're just paralyzed from the fear of death, and it makes the whole experience so much more traumatic than it has to be. And it really doesn't have to be that way, but we're making it be that way because we're not open to it, and we're not talking about it, and we just see it as just like the devil, you know. It's like death, oh my god, it's like so scary.
But it's not. I suspect that death is going to be one of the most beautiful experiences that we can have. I'm looking forward to death. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to die before my parents. So there's a few things in life I'd like to experience and explore and achieve. You know, I'd like to get a really good job one day. You know,
Yeah.
you know, go back and go and do the PhD and get a good, well-paid job and have a bit of freedom that way. There's a lot of stuff I want to explore. You know, but death. Oh man, I've not been afraid of death for a long time, and my life is better for it. And I can see, you're absolutely right. I can see, you know, fear is the one thing that blocks you off from life. And the biggest fear is fear of death. I can see it in people. You know, I've had conversations with people who are so shut off to this, they're like, no, it's all dreams, you're dreaming it, or you're not right in the head, it's not real, you know? And you can see the way they live their lives, and they're all an addiction, you know? it's like food addiction, sex addiction, shopping addiction, you know, and that's all they live for. And I'm thinking, you fill in the void. You feed. You're trying to not face. You have no idea why you exist. You can't get your head around it. You just escape reality because you don't want to look at it. And you know, why do we not talk about death in schools? It's a fascinating subject, and probably the one thing that we all have in common.
Yeah, no, I totally think that as well. It's so fascinating. And and you know, people like Buddhism, for example. In Buddhism, they have all these rituals and mantras that they read, you know, and they get you into that state of, you know, trying to just basically get used to the idea of death, and so that when you come to it at some point in your life, you just easily transition. It's kind of like, because that's how they describe it, isn't it? It's like a transition from one state to another, like, you know, like ice to water, or water into air.
Well, if you think about just the nature of the human life from cradle to the grave, parents are getting the child ready for school. They're training it to walk. They're teaching it how to feed itself. You know, and when you're at school, you're being taught how to prepare for the next stage, which is life in the workplace. You know what I mean? And you're being taught all that sort of stuff. So why not? Why can't we teach people about that stage of life? You know, crossing over into that other realm.
Yeah.
You know.
No, totally. I completely agree. Yeah, definitely, it should be something a lot more spoken about. But yeah, wow, Paul, this has been
On that happy note.
on that very happy note. Wow, this has been so fascinating speaking to you. Yeah, it answered so many questions for me that I've had from before, and I haven't really kind of managed to investigate too much into it, but it definitely answers a lot of questions. And I know you yourself are still, you know, trying to figure things out, but it's really amazing that you've, you know, committed yourself on this path, and you're kind of trying to investigate and research it from kind of both perspectives, which is really nice to see. Because I know a lot of people kind of just tend to get scared, and they're kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to go there anymore. And
well, yeah, that's understandable. It's fear of the unknown. You know?
Yeah.
Everything you seek in life is on the other side of fear.
Yeah,
And it really is, you know.
exactly.
But I still have little fears, you know. I'm not this like guy that just walks in faith all the time. I have moments where I'm afraid of being accepted. I'm afraid of being liked. You know, I'm afraid of fitting in. I'm afraid of not fitting in, or whatever should I say. And you know what I mean. We all have that sort of inner work to get through.
Yeah,
And I think,
definitely.
the more we can look at that, it's about being real. And it's about standing face to face and walking in your truth. And
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
and these fears arise, and you start to realise what you need to work on. Or alternatively, if you don't, you end up out your body and shadow beings attacking you, saying, "Listen, sort some stuff out now, man." You know?
Yeah, well, you've been there on both sides, so you don't, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, no, it's been a really, really fascinating talk. And for anyone who wants to get in touch with you, if they're maybe wanting to do some more research on this or anything, where can they find you?
Right. Well, I'm not like a researcher. I'm not a talker. I'm not a
Yeah,
life coach or anything like that. I'm just a guy. So I don't really have any contact details.
yeah,
I am on Facebook. My name's Paul Wolski, Wolski. I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have a website.
yeah.
So I suppose just add me on Facebook. Yeah. If you can't find me on Facebook, maybe drop Desi a message. And if you're out there doing research on this stuff, and or you are a scientist and you're looking for someone to come in the lab, I'm up for it. You know, let's explore further. What's it all about?
I love that. I love your explorational kind of spirit. Like, yes, let's do it. Let's go and find out.
Why
But
not?
yeah,
I've been
that's
stuck in university for the last 4 years, like trapped in my intellect. You know, I need to get out of that. You know, I need to get away from all that nonsense.
yeah,
So
true.
yeah, so I suppose where I'm at in life right here, right now, I'm trying to put a line under everything I've learned up to now, and just re-humble myself and come back as an innocent kind of blank canvas. And right, what can I learn now? Yeah, we'll go again.
Wow. Well, that's really inspiring. Really, really inspiring. Yeah, Paul, thank you so much for your time. This has been
No,
incredible. Yeah, really, really great
yeah,
to
yeah.
meet you.
Yeah, I've loved it. Cheers, Desi. You know, maybe in a couple of years, if I learn more, I'll get in touch. We'll go again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you need to like give us an update on what else you've been up to for the next kind of. Yeah, that'd be great.
How many shadow beings I've been loving.
Sending them lots of love.
Way, love is the answer.
Great.
Right. You have a nice day, Desi. Take care.
Thank you too.
See you later.
What I learned to understand as I grew is that there are two separate dimensions. There is the dimension of the physical world which crosses over into the unseen world. That is unseen by the naked eye.
The essential question is, where does consciousness come from? Does it come from the brain, or does it come from another alternative source?
I saw things sitting at the bedside that were so astonishing that it made me think there is more to this than meets the eye.
I was a natural psychic as a child. My father, when he passed away, instead of him being a man of 84, he looked like a man of 24.
There's always one family member that seems to be the spokesperson between the dead and the living. And I was born to have that relationship.
The spiritualist tradition opened my eyes to recognize that there were things that went on in the afterlife that I would not have possibly believed. Because when you die and you pass out of the physical body, you're moving into the astral dimension. So instead of having a brain, you have a variety of levels of consciousness.
The newly dead are 7 times more sensitive to hearing and seeing.
There would have been a family community that still exists in spirit. They still are acknowledging that maybe if you turn to them, you might be able to get the help that you need.
So this is the ancestral continuum, which goes back 7 generations.
Sometimes the dead also need to tell their stories.
They will suddenly get this moment of, oh, so that's what it's all about.
So these studies suggest, without doubt, and that consciousness can exist beyond the brain.
These phenomena exist as facts of nature, and science is going to have to accommodate.
The birth of a child, well supported. Marriage, well supported. Death, we don't talk about that, do we? And then you are so ill prepared when it happens. What is going to happen to you next?
Hi, I'm Desi Kadra and I'm the director of Beyond the Veil. Beyond the Veil is a feature documentary that explores what happens in life after death. For over a century, the Western materialist view that there is nothing outside of this physical reality and that our consciousness is produced only by the brain and that there's nothing past this physical veil has produced a worldwide epidemic from the fear of dying. Beyond the Veil aims to challenge this perspective and to offer a new perspective told by those who are able to communicate with the non-physical reality and with the spirit world. Beyond the Veil is unique in that it provides a glimpse into the afterlife, told from the very people who were born with the gift of being able to communicate with spirits of our deceased loved ones. Beyond the Veil aims to highlight some of the important work that is being done by psychics and mediums all over the world who are helping people who are grieving over their loved ones to once again reconnect with their loved ones who have passed away. For far too long, the psychic phenomenon has been dismissed and ridiculed by mainstream science, and it's time to put the story straight. Like many people today, I've experienced first-hand grief after losing a loved one 5 years ago. The reality is that the majority of us never truly recover from grief. We just learn to live with it. We just learn to cope with it. And for me, it wasn't really until I began to explore the spiritual side of reality and to realize that there is so much more outside of this physical perspective that my true healing began. My vision for Beyond the Veil is to spread this message all over the world and reach as many people who are also going through grief, who are also going through the suffering of losing a loved one, as well as those who are preparing to die and who are absolutely paralyzed by the fear of death that we have instilled for the last century with the idea that there's nothing past death. Beyond the Veil has been in the workings for the last 2 years and has been completely self-funded up until now. But in order to see it to completion, I will need your help. This is where you come in and you help us to spread this message all over the world by sharing it with your friends, by liking the page, and by most importantly donating and purchasing one of the amazing rewards that will help you become part of this experience. For the next month, I will be sharing some incredible information that's come out as a result of the research of this documentary and that you can also be a part of. So please join the page, follow us, and share with everyone that you know to help us spread this message, and most importantly, help us to see it come into fruition. Thank you so much.